Welcome back, my friend. My name is Vitaly Semenov, and I'm an entrepreneur, CEO, marketer, writer, and a consultant. Today, I want to talk about three really important things in business. Probably the most important things. Those are the things that worked for me in the last decade or so that I've been running, starting, failing, and succeeding in several businesses. What I would think is the number one thing is in any business, believe it or not, it's sacrifice. Sacrifice is the number one thing, especially at the very beginning. When you start in the business, you need to think, what are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to sacrifice your personal life? You're willing to sacrifice time with friends? You're willing to sacrifice money that you can be spending on indulging and on travel and on items that you like? You're willing to sacrifice the flex. You're willing to sacrifice the things that you really want to buy right now and have right now and show other people how successful you are right now with those things, which isn't the correct way to success. It's actually most of the time the way to failure, especially at the beginning of business. Of course, later on, like I have a lot of flex items now, but those items I acquired after I set up cash flow and several passive incomes and assets. They're generating money that I can then freely spend on flex items and the items that I enjoy for myself because I'm not losing any actual value. I'm not losing any actual value, meaning I invest all my cash in the cash flow assets, and then those cash flow assets are paying for my liability. Like, for instance, if I invest in real estate, invest in Airbnb, and expanding my Airbnb, building more units, and then after I get more units, then my income goes up, then I would say, hey, now I actually own those. I own those assets that are generating extra income now. And now I can actually go and spend that income that those assets are generating on myself without losing any asset value. So back to sacrifice is at the very beginning, a lot of people, let's say they live in an apartment, they pay rent, expensive apartment, nice, maybe nice view in the city or something. I know this because I've had that life myself. Some nice cars, maybe BMW or two. I also had that myself, so I know. Um, and then also going out with friends, I would spend $400 or $500 a night. Nice restaurants and drinks, and maybe going on a trip here and there. People really perceive that as being wealthy, correct? Most of people perceive that as being wealthy. But for me, after I read like 300 books and realized, oh, my business isn't actually doing like extremely well. It was like in five, six, like low six figures and stuff. And I really wanted to go to like seven, eight figures. And I figured, how can I go now? And I thought, how can I go from living in an apartment to living in a mansion, right? So I created this whole plan. I started reading many books. I started to try to figure out how to do it. And what I've realized that I need to sacrifice my current life in order to go to the next level of life. So what I did was I moved out of my expensive apartment. I sold my BMWs, a sold BMW M6 convertible. I really loved that car, but it had to go. I invested a lot of money and time that I was wasting, like hanging out with friends and spending hundreds of dollars on going out and going to nice restaurants and flexing. And all that time I took and I frugally invested that time and money into taking my business to the next level, right? So this is how sacrifice really works. And it worked for me. And I think it's a number one tool. If you don't apply it, you'll probably never make it. Or if you do, it'll be like a unicorn, kind of one time in the lifetime opportunity or thing that happened. But all those, the true success really is achieved by sacrifice. So what I did is I got rid of my super expensive rent, sold BMW M6, and I stopped going out, stopped wasting hundreds of dollars at the restaurants, and I started working and figuring out how I can invest it to leverage that money to better income. I started new businesses. I invested in real estate. A lot of those businesses, some of my projects did not succeed, some didn't, some sales did not, were not as expected, but some of the projects did pick up and now went into uh, really nice six-figure incomes for several of the businesses. So that is really how sacrifice works. For you to be able to go to the next level, and if you want to go, say, from low five figures, say, making, well, I see a lot of people make like 20, 40,000 a year, with their own small business, and they're struggling, and just trying to figure out how do I go into that juicy six or maybe even seven figure income. And this is how you have to sacrifice. You have to sacrifice your current level. You have to sacrifice whatever you can at the moment and say, like, do you really need that car right now? Do you really need the extra room right now? If you sacrifice that now and invest it with time, even if some things fail, it will pay off. Second thing that is really, really important is patience. Of course, after you sacrificed at the beginning and you say you have a chunk of money after selling some of your stuff to invest into your new business, or you got investors or something, then once you invest at the very beginning, a lot of times things don't work. You just have to pivot and persevere, pivot and persevere, pivot and persevere. And that is how I did it, and that's how I still do it. And still, I'm still working on some things that I'm pivoting and persevering and not giving up. It's been years. Some things I worked on for years, and they're still in process. Some new things that I started that are in process, and I just, when I come to an obstacle, I just pivot, persevere. I find any other unorthodox way to solve that problem when I encounter it, to overcome that obstacle when I encounter it, and then I go to the next level. Usually, after I overcome it, it becomes, the whole business or the whole project becomes a lot better, because that is the thing that usually was stopping it from going to the next level. But if you give up on that obstacle and don't persevere, then nothing will happen. You probably fail, you know? And so patience and sacrifice, right, are two very, very important things in business. And what is the last very important thing, right? Is the perseverance. See, a lot of projects that I worked on and businesses I've started didn't actually succeed, or it took a very long time. And some of them that didn't succeed actually could have succeeded if I was more patient and was able to find the funding and the timing was correct. So you never know without actually being patient about your project or about your business and working on it for long enough for it to actually succeed. Like for instance, I'm investing 25,000 for tiny house right now to expand my income and cash flow in order to, for instance, I just purchased the convertible Jaguar F Type. In order to purchase a liability like that, I was patient enough to get the funds together, to put it all together, to build extra tiny houses, and not just pay the cash for the Jag, right? I paid, put in the cash into the tiny houses, and then the tiny houses are paying my Jaguar, and they're growing up in value, and my whole property is worth a lot more money with those houses on the property. So I actually made money and it made my Jaguar free. So my Jaguar is basically free just because I made the one good decision, one correct financial decision to invest my money actually into cash flow assets that are just directly paying cash for car, which is not really never a good idea. So patience with time, you build something, and that one thing that is built with patience, like a business, which business is an asset, business is a machine, right? It's a machine that works by itself and needs your supervision, but it mostly works by itself, or you can hire someone else to supervise it, and it generates cash flow, and then that cash flow can be used for your indulgent items. So instead of going and buying the item that you want right now to be indulged in, what you should do is be patient and put that money into something like a system, create an extra unit, rent it out, or start a business, whatever that you're into or your opportunity is at the moment. And then with patience and time, that business will grow in value. Your total net worth will be growing. And then you can also buy items for yourself, like the Jaguar that I did for yourself. And you will not lose any money. That's how and why the rich are getting richer, is because the way that they think. Thanks for listening, guys. And I will see you next time.